Okay, hi guys. So we're gonna do a little Pilates practice today, focusing on the lower body. We're gonna start with a little warm up and we're gonna do some standing work as well once we get connected, and we're just gonna keep our bodies moving. Okay, we're just gonna flow. All right, so we're gonna use a block. Okay. If you have a block handy, or you could use a pillow. We'll start by lying down on your back. Start with the low back pressing into the floor, and then low back arching, and then low back pressing, and then low back arching, low back press, and low back arch. And then we're going to go ahead and come back into just a restful alignment here with the feet underneath the knees. We're going to bring the arms, have the arms alongside the body, pull the belly in, tuck the tail, and then lift the hips up into bridge. Right? Keep your abdominals firm here. Think of like a corset around your low torso. I'm going to call that our skinny middle. So skinny middle, drawing your abdominals in toward your center of gravity like you had a weight belt on that you're tightening with your own muscles. That's engaging your transverse abdominals. And we're going to just roll down from here like a sigh. The breastbone comes down first and then roll down one by one vertebra at a time, and then we come back up again. Belly pulls in strongly to tuck the tail, roll all the way up to the top, and then again sequentially roll down. That's it, good. And one more time, tucking the tail, lifting up. Have your weight even on your feet, skinny middle in place. We're going to just pause here for a second. Keep your hip points, right, those two bony landmarks on the front of your pelvis there. Keep your hip points level with each other, and we're going to just simply shift your weight into your right foot. Right? You're not going to see anything move here really, but you're going to feel the action change in your abdominals. Come back through center. Now shift your weight into your left foot, and then come back through center. Shift your weight into your right foot, and center, and shift left, and center. Now we're going to lower the hips down a couple inches. Keep your skinny middle active as you lift the hips up. So you're going to keep your low back long. And again, lower press, lower press, lower press. Let's do 4 more like that. And 3, and 2, and 1. Pause here. And then we're going to do a little more challenging what we just did. We're going to shift the weight into the right foot. This time straighten the left knee. And then replace that foot. And then straighten the other knee, and center, lengthen left, and shift, lengthen right, all the while hip points staying level. So you have to really work your core here, work your transverse abdominals. You're also working your oblique abdominals. So they're going to be the muscles that work to keep you from letting one hip drop down, right? So they're resisting going into a twist at that moment. Right? Normally, the action of the abdominal obliques is to do a twist, right? But right now, we're resisting a twist. It's a reverse action. Right now, we're going to go ahead and come back through center again. Keep your skinny middle, reaffirm that, and then lower the hips and press. Lower press, lower press, simple lower lift, lower press. Feel free to stay with this one. If you want a little more challenge, we'll shift our weight into one foot, and we'll lengthen the leg, and we'll lower press on one foot. So you keep your torso and your leg in one long line, and it's the bottom leg that's doing the work. Let's replace that, and hopefully you kept your hip points level, right? It's really hard if you really stabilize. Now, work your skinny middle again, and keep that hip point, the hip points level. Keep one from dropping, and we go lower press, lower press, lower press, lower press. Replace that. Sequentially roll down again, rolling one by one by one all the way down. And let's get ready to come back up. Belly firm, tuck the tail, lift the hips up high, work your skinny middle, shift and lengthen. Okay, and we're gonna go lower press, 1 inch down, 1 inch up. And then we're going to make a little more challenge, and we're going to lower an inch off the floor and then push all the way back up to where you started. Again, lower press, 2 more like that. Lower press, 1 more. Lower press, replace that foot. Again, skinny middle, reaffirm that skinny middle, and then 4 small, 4 big. Here we go, lower press. Your glutes are working here, lower press. You should feel that in the glutes as well. And then we go bigger, an inch off the floor, and then pushing right from that bottom leg. Press, 2 more. Here we go. And press. 1 more press, replace that foot, and then sequentially roll back down. Let's rock the knees into the nose. Rock, rock, rock. And then walk the legs from side to side, a little loosening for that low back. Okay, so we're just kind of getting connected there. If you're comfortable to rock forward and backward along the length of the back, we'll do that just to transition to come back up. Couple rolls. All right. Okay. All right. So let's take our block and squeeze the block between the thighs. Hold on to the hamstrings and lift up tall. And then pull the belly in and round out the back. Lift up, long spine, open chest. And belly pulls in. Again, lift up. Belly pulls in. Visualize your 8-pack muscles right here, right? So visualize those side-by-side pairs of segments. We're going to label those segments, the side-by-side pair at the bottom, we're going to make into a stripe. We're going to call that 4, above that 3, above that 2, above that 1 is at the base of the breastbone. And then work to lift. And this time we're going to come all the way down, rolling through your segments. So coming in from segment 4, then 3, then 2. By the time you get to 1, most of your back's on the floor. Inhale here. Exhale, deflate your abs. See them move down. Keep the abs in. Breathe into the back of the lungs. And then exhale, curl up through segment 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Then work the lift of the spine. Let's do that again. Here we go. Pulling from 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. You're in your upper body alignment. Exhale, deflate. Keep the abs in. Breathe into the back of the lungs. And then exhale, curl up from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Work your lift one more time like that. Here we go. Belly pulls in, coming down from 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Inhale, back of the lungs. Exhale, deflate. Inhale again. Exhale, curl, 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 curl. Okay, now we're going to make it a little more challenging if you like. I want you to really work to squeeze your skinny middle really taut, okay? That inner weight belt that you're tightening with your own muscles, your transverse abdominal muscles. Now here we inhale and hinge back in one long line. Squeezing your block will help. Now curl down. Where arms by ears is most challenging, feel free to reach forward or hold on, right? If that is feels more connected for you. And then inhale, arms up. Exhale, nod and curl and come back up. And let's do that again. Skinny middle. Inhale, hinge first. And then exhale, round slowly, slowly coming back down. And inhale, arms up. Exhale, nod and curl and come back up. This time we're going to go a little slower. Imagine a laser light from the top of your head shining on the ceiling. So you keep that length. Imagine that light on the ceiling moving further back. Visualize that light on the ceiling. That's going to help you hinge. And then we slowly, slowly, slowly come all the way down. Let's take our block and place it off to the side. Lengthen long through the legs and the arms. Hold on to 2 fingers in one hand with the other. Stretch long arms, long legs. And splay your ribcage open toward the ceiling. Big breath in. And exhale, sigh the breath out. And again, inhale, reach, stretch, arch. Exhale, sigh the breath out. And again, here we go. And let's do one more time. Inhale, reach, stretch, arch. Really nice, big. It's a backward bend right here that we're doing right here. And then gently release. Okay. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and do feet on the floor. Arms alongside the body. Belly pulls in. We're going to tuck the tail. Right, and I'm going to pull that belly in and press the low back into the floor. And then we're going to arch. And then press. And then arch. Good. Now press and stay. Take your block. You're going to lengthen the legs up toward the ceiling. Right, and we're going to go ahead and from here, you have a choice. You could put the block underneath your head if your neck isn't so happy in that upper body alignment. You can keep the legs straight if you have enough hamstring flexibility. If your hamstrings are a little tight, stay parallel with the legs and squeeze the legs together in parallel with the knees bent. Remember, low back is pressing to the floor, okay, either way, right? If you're flexible and your legs can go straight, you'll laterally rotate and squeeze the inner thighs, right? Now, you have your choice now. You can either keep that block underneath the head or you can squeeze the block between the calves. See what feels comfortable. Now, hands to hamstrings. Pull with your arm strength to bring yourself more into that upper body alignment. Head closer toward your center is going to be easier on the neck, right? Flat parts of your shoulder blades reaching towards your thighs and pulling with your arms helps. Now pull, exhale, deflate the abs like we did before. Keep those abs in. Now palms down, start to pump the arms. And we inhale, back of the lungs. 3, 4, 5, and exhale, low back pressing into the floor. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Keep your belly pulling in. Inhale, back of the lungs. Keeps you buoyant. 4, 5, and low back pressing to the floor, and exhale. Now, if you can keep that, then you can make a little more challenge by lengthening the legs on an angle. About halfway there. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale, 2, 3. 3 more sets. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale, 2. Squeezing the block helps. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale, 2, 3. 1 more set. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take your block, place it off to the side. Feet on the floor, arms alongside the body. Pelvic rocks again. Low back presses. And low back arches. And low back presses. And low back arches. Make the rocking smaller and smaller. We find roughly the middle. Bring your hands to your hips. Fingertips on your hip points. Lift your head and look to see if your hip points and your pubic bone are in the same plane, level with the floor. Most of us end up in a tuck, so we want to drop the pubic bone and tailbone toward the floor to make that what I'm going to call absolute neutral alignment in the pelvis. We're just going to go there for a moment, right? So we're going to lift our head and look to see, right, if we're in a tuck. Right? Come out of the tuck. If you had a wheel on either side of the pelvis, pelvic wheels into forward motion like that. And just find that place for a moment. Just notice how that feels to come into absolute neutral. Most of us are not used to holding this alignment in place. So our back muscles, we have to note if we feel any gripping, right? If you feel any gripping, I want you to relax out of that alignment a little bit, right? But we found it. And we know where we want to go for. What our goal is to get to a neutral alignment so that our front body and our back body are equally supporting us. Right? I like to think of the Macy's Day balloons. If you have the Macy's Day balloon kind of going down the street and you have people on one side with the ropes that are holding the balloons and people on the other side with the ropes that are holding balloons, you actually want those to be equally working equally on both sides, okay? If one side is all slack, your balloon's all wonky, right? It's just no good, right? So you really want to kind of have that stability from both the front body and the back body. And I like to use the Macy's Day balloon image to help us remember that. Now, we find absolute neutral, right? And we just find it first step. Okay, now relax out of it a little bit if you feel any gripping whatsoever. If you're okay to go to that neutral and you're like, okay, yeah, it feels a little new, but feels fine, no gripping, then you can work there, that's fine. And every body is different, so listen to your body. But if you feel like any gripping, right, you find where we want to go, at least we know what it is, and then hold it for a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds, and then relax out of it. And you'll likely be somewhere in between where you want to be and where you normally are, right? So we gradually work our way there, but we don't want to be gripping and kind of like in a bad, working in a bad, like gripped place, meanwhile, okay? Because that will not bode well in the long run. So we have to gradually work our way there, but we want to know where it is. Okay, so now we found our absolute neutral, we've relaxed out of it a little bit, and I'm going to call this relative neutral, like where we're going to work for today. Now, while we're found where we're going to work for today, your back is relaxed, right? Maybe it's not where you started. Maybe it's a little closer to absolute neutral, relative neutral. And we're going to do 3 deep core connections that are going to help us stabilize this shape. Okay, so we have stable torso and mobile limbs, right? Mobility from the hip sockets themselves. Okay, so the 3 deep core muscles we're going to focus on. Number 1, pelvic floor, diamond-shaped group of muscles. I'm gonna get up and show you guys this one. I always feel like an airline stewardess when I do this one. I don't know if I said that right. Flight attendant is more appropriate. I'm sorry. So you're gonna have this diamond-shaped group of muscles between the sitting bones, the pubic bone, and the tailbone, right at the base of the torso, pulling in and up from toward your head, right? So I always feel like the exits are here, right? So your pelvic floor is here, and you're pulling in and up, right? So it's like you have to use the restroom, but you gotta hold it. Okay, so, or like a Kegel exercise if you're familiar with that. So pelvic floor drawing in and up is number 1 of your deep core. Number 2, transverse abdominals, your skinny middle. We talked about that already, right, in our warm up. Number 3, you get tall, length and long through your entire torso. I have a skeleton here. I'll pull Bob out from behind the curtain. Okay, that didn't go so well. Anyways, here's Bob. Okay, so we have the spine, right? So if you look at the spine, there are a lot of
kind of segments, right? And there are a lot of tiny little muscles that go in between those segments that work to stabilize the spine, right? So when you work to lengthen through your torso, right? When you work to get tall, to really get tall, you're activating those small, tiny little muscles when you do that, and it makes for nice stability. Anybody with disc issues, right? This is a good idea to work those deep spinal muscles that help you really support from the inside out. So the 3 we focus on, again, pelvic floor 1, skinny middle 2, and we're going to energize long. Multifidi are the name of the muscles that are like some of those muscles that work to really stabilize your torso. So stable torso, mobile limbs, right? So we're going to work that pelvic floor, skinny middle, long spine. Okay, and we're going to lengthen one leg up and laterally rotate the thigh bone from the hip socket, crossing the midline for leg circles. We go circle and pause, and circle and pause, and circle and pause. Now, if you need a little more challenge, you can lengthen the bottom leg. But what does that mean, right? You want to super stabilize your torso. Let's go the other direction to the right. So this is the classic version of the Pilates leg circles, right? Now, if your pelvis is moving all side to side, right, we don't want that. Right? We want to really stabilize. So you might need to have a little more stability with the help of your bottom knee bent and your foot on the floor. Now let's go parallel legs, flex the foot for bottom. We're going to lengthen that leg down, and we go point it up, flex it down, point it up, flex it down, point up, flex it down, point up. 4 more times. We go 4, and a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and then hug that thigh into the chest. Let the shoulder blades release into the floor. Switch the grip for soft extensions, a little bounce at the bottom, and then extend the shin bone. Release the leg and soft extend. Release and extend. Release and extend. Release and extend. A couple more times. Release and extend. 1 more. Here we go. And then release out of it. Flex the foot. Press the sole of the foot straight up to the ceiling. Squeeze your knee all the way straight. Belly firm. Lift the bottom foot an inch. Let's come into our upper body alignment. Inhale here. Exhale. Deflate those abs. See them move down. Send the action from the abs through the legs. Roll through the feet. Heel, ball the toe to point the toes. Charge up your stretch. A little longer, a little stronger, a little further in your stretch. And then release. That's our big stretch. Now feet on the floor, arms alongside the body for simple sit-up. Pull the belly in, lift the arms, inch off the floor, nod, and curl your way up. 2, 3, 4 to your upper body alignment only. And belly pulls in as you come down. 2, we do it again. Coming up 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Coming down, and 2, and we do it again. Nod and curl, keeping a fist distance of space between your chin and your chest. Right, reaching the flat parts of your shoulder blades towards your thighs. And then we come down. That's our simple sit-up. Okay, now we go into tree. We do right leg up, left leg long. Hold on to your leg with both hands. I'm going to give you the cheat on this one, right? So we're about to walk ourselves hand over hand up the leg to seated. If you can come up easily with that, then do it. That's great. We're going to take a moment though, and I'm going to give you the cheat, right? I always tell my class, don't tell anyone I told you. But there are 2 ways you can cheat on this exercise. And the only reason I'm giving you the cheat is because I want you to have access into the exercise. Okay, so 2 things you can do. As long as it feels okay, right? Again, if it doesn't feel okay, you just stop. You don't do it, right? But if you feel okay and it's just a little challenging, a little bit of help to get you into the game, you can push your thigh away from you, right? So you're using your hamstring strength to come into that exercise. Right, so hamstring strength, right? Ultimately, we want the abs to do the work, right? So we just take a little while and let the hamstrings help us for a little bit and then gradually take away that help. Okay, the other way we can come into this with our cheat is to lift the bottom leg and then just rock ourselves up, okay? So once we're up, it's really the way down where we can gain more strength anyway, okay? It's the eccentric contraction where the gravity we're fighting against gravity as well. So make your way up any old way, again, as long as you're comfortable, but then slowly come down. Now, as you come down, you're gonna, use your abs as much as you can, the segments we talked about, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And then on the way up, again, if you have trouble, use the help, get up any old way, right? Work the lift of the low back, and then belly pulls away from your thigh. Belly pulls away from your thigh as you come back down. We're gonna do 1 more time like that. Here we go, nod and curl coming up. 2. Now, the lighter you are with the hands and legs, the less help you use with the arms and legs or momentum. the more your abs have to work. So you're gonna work, if this is easier, you're gonna make the next challenge and just get super light on those arms and legs, especially once you're 2/3 of the way down. That's where you really wanna move slowly. For most of us, that's the most challenging part. Okay, so that's tree. Now we're gonna do feet on the floor, arms alongside the body, and we'll do the whole series on the second side, starting with pelvic rocks, low back presses, and low back arches, and low back presses, and low back arches. Make the rocking smaller and smaller, find roughly the middle. And we're gonna do our deep core connections, pelvic floor, skinny middle, long spine. Now left leg up, laterally rotate the thigh bone from the hip socket. Remember the goal, quiet hips. And circling, circle and pause. 6 times, circle and pause. And 3 and a pause. And 4 and a pause. And 5 and a pause. And 6. Now reverse it, and good. All right, so I'm thinking about my college jazz teacher. So her name was Michelle Simmons. She's fabulous. And she danced with the Ailey Company. And I remember her class would have a very similar beginning, and then you would go into the format of the class. It was like a classic standard warm-up. So I like to think of our Pilates class in that way. So you're gonna see this classic standard warm-up a lot, and then we go into our theme, right? Just like we did in that dance class. So I'm smiling thinking about Michelle Simmons. She's so awesome. I had many, many awesome teachers that I'm so grateful for. So let's go ahead and take the thigh to the chest, and then get ready for soft extensions. We go release the leg. So Michelle actually, when I first moved to New York, I moved with my friend Jennifer from the dance department at Cal State Long Beach, where I got a BFA in dance there. And so Jennifer and I, we didn't actually really know each other that well, but we were both going to New York. So we came and we lived with Michelle's cousin in Jamaica, Queens. So our first foray into the city was in Jamaica, Queens, living with our Michelle's cousin. Now let's release out of it, flex the foot, and press the sole of the foot straight up. Squeeze your knee all the way straight. Belly firm with the bottom foot an inch. Let's come into our upper body alignment. Inhale here, exhale, deflate the abs. Send the action from the abs through the legs, roll through heel, ball, toe to point the toes. Charge if you stretch a little longer, a little stronger. So the straight knee on the top is the most important part here. If your knee's bending, move your thigh away and straighten that knee. I really want you to know where your hamstring range of motion is. Full range of motion, legs straight up toward the ceiling. So you're gonna go for that as your goal. Okay, and that's our big stretch, okay? So now from here, our big stretch, we're gonna go ahead and do our simple sit-up. Let's do repetitions today. Feet on the floor, hands to cradle the head. We're gonna do in a 2 count instead of a 4 count. Now the goal right now is to work the pulling in action of your transverse abdominals as you do the curling up action of your rectus abdominis, your 8-pack muscle. Those segments we talked about, right? So pulling in as you curl up. So coming up in a 2 count, but still relatively slow enough, you can do the work of pulling in as you come up. So let's do 20 in a 2 count. Coming up in 1, for 2, and down, for 2, and 2, for 2, and down, for 2, and 3, for 2, and down, for 2, and 4, for 2, and down, for 2, belly pulling in, for 2, and down, for 2, and 6, for 2, and down, for 2, and 7, for 2, and down, 2 and 8, for 2 and down, for 2 and 9, for 2 and down, for 2 and 10, for 2 and 10 more like this, 10, for 2 and down, for 2 and 9, for 2 and down, for 2 and 8, for 2 and down, for 2 and 7, down, and a 6, and down, and a 5, and down, and a 4, and down, and a 3, and down, and a 2, and down, and this is 1, and down, and pause. So we're going to do another round of 20, this time in a 1 count. Okay, again, same thing. As we get a little faster and faster, your form will try to fall apart. What does that look like? You might find you start to move like from your head and neck a lot more. You feel that happening, then just pause. Come back to the form that we're looking for, where you really feel it in your abs, right? Notice if you feel like your head and neck are moving a lot more than think about that flat part of the shoulder blades reaching toward your thighs instead, like we set it up in our slower version, okay? Now in a 1 count, but again, still relatively slow. Belly pulls in first, and we come up in 1, and down, and 2, and down, and 3, and down, and 4, and down,
and 5 and down, and 6 and down, and 7 and down, and 8 and down, and 9 and down, and 10. 10 more. We go 10 and a 9 and a 8 and a 7 and a 6 and 5. Make sure your hips are not gripping here. 4 and a 3. So keep relaxed in the hip flexors. 2 and a 1 and pause. Now we're going to do 2 sets of 10 pulses. So come up into your upper body alignment, drop down a bit, and we go 10 and 9 and 6 and 5 and 4. Put the work here and come on back down. And we do another set. Here we go. Come into your upper body alignment, belly pulling in all the while. Drop down an inch. Then we go 10 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and come on back down. Now we're ready for tree on our second side. So left leg up, right leg long. Remember the cheats I told you, right? And let's come up in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Work the lift of the low back at the top. Now belly pulls away from your thigh. Get lighter on your hand and leg. And again, non and crow coming up. And 2 and 3 and 4. Work the lift. And belly pulls in, coming down. 4 and 3. Let's do one more like that. Here we go. Work the lift. And then belly pulls in. And 2 and 3 and 4. And that's our whole series, or sort of classic standard warm-up. So I hope you guys are doing good so far. We're going to just kind of take a moment and go into some standing work for the legs. Okay, so we said we focus on the legs a little bit more. We're going to do a little bit more for the legs. So standing up, I want you to take your Pilates body with you. Okay, so what does that mean? It means take that core stability that we set up. We want to really feel that connection as we move the body. Now we're going to do 2 exercises standing. I'm going to have a block handy, hands to hips. I'm going to come down first to just fold at the knees, the ankles, and the hips, but keep your spine in one long line. So you're going to keep that skinny middle. You're going to fold at the ankles, knees, and hips, but your spine is long. Okay, so remember that is first and foremost. So hands to hips. Just do a couple of knees over toes. See that your knees are tracking right over your toes as you bend and come up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shift the weight shift the weight into your left foot, and then bring the right foot back onto the ball of the foot. The thigh is going to just kind of come out to the side, belly firm. One hand to the small of the back, and come down and just touch that block. And so you're really just wanting to feel your weight on that front leg and really track the knee right over the toe, like we did when both feet were next to each other. Now, if you have any knee issues, you might want to just do both feet, and that's okay. Now, you can go higher, right? If you have any, again, knee issues, right? Or you can go lower. You can put the block down lower. You can lower as far down as it will go. You can even touch the floor. So you decide your level of challenge. I want you, though, on the way up, to push your weight into your heel as you come up. Right? Push your weight into your heel as you come up. And when you do that, you're going to feel the glutes and the quads more. Right? Let's go ahead and switch to the second side. So you can start, let's do 1 or 2, just knees right over the toes. Just really see what that looks like. And as we get ready to shift your weight into now your right foot, look at our block handy. Shift your weight into your right foot. Left foot is just out of the picture basically, right? And we're going to just check to see that knee tracking. You can look right at your knee. That's it, guys. Good. Go as, find your distance that feels good. Breathing. If you want to go further down, right, you can lower that block, whatever level you want. Now, in effort to come down lower, which might feel kind of exciting, right? Like, wow, look, I'm doing the harder version. Make sure that you don't start to round out the back, okay? Remember, imagine you had like a yardstick along the length of your spine. And come down. All right. Okay, so you can do roughly, maybe we'll aim for 15 of those, okay? Let's do 2 more for now. Heel pressing. 1 more.
Okay, so let's do the next one. We're going to do 3 variations. You can have your block handy. You just want to make it so that you're going to miss that block with the moving foot. Now, meanwhile, you're keeping that action of your stability, you're stabilizing your torso in place, and we're moving at the hip sockets, knees, and ankles, right? So stability in the core, mobility, especially the hip sockets right here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do from here, hands to hips to start. We're gonna lift the knee, press the heel forward and down, just miss the floor and reach your thigh back. Keep your pelvis level, right? And if you tip over, it's fine. You just catch yourself and then move on, right? So there's a lot of work. We talked about the Macy's Day balloons earlier, right? Let's go a little bigger now and then further forward. And the Macy's Day analogy we could think of at our ankle right now, right? So lifting and moving our top leg, but really it's the bottom leg that gets a good amount of work. Okay, now you can tip as far as feels comfortable, as far as head in line with heel. So from the side view, it would look like the letter T, right? And so I'm kind of bumping into the wall a little bit here, but it's all right. I'm going to judge it a little bit better next time. Okay, so, but you guys get the idea. So pelvis level, right? As we tip, as though if your elbows were airplane wings, they're going to stay level to the floor. Okay, just one leg is back, right? That's the goal there. Part of it. Okay, now next one, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more challenge, right? So what we're going to do is the same thing as before, but this time we bend the supporting leg knee, and we can bring our hand maybe to touch that block. Okay, so knee lift, heel press, just miss, and tip. All the while our Pilates body active and energized. We take our movement up into an active upright place, right? I'm battling with the wall behind me. Why don't I just move it a little bit further forward? Okay, so we're gonna do the other side next. Okay, let's see if I have clearance now. Yes, I have clearance. Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna get ready for the second side. So 3 variations. All right, so we start knee lift, heel press, just miss the floor, and don't move the pelvis. If your pelvis were a bowl, you're trying to keep it level toward the floor. So you're not going to spill water out of the front of your pelvic bowl, right? So we talked about pelvic wheels and forward motion. We're going to just put the brakes on the pelvic wheels. And this is a smaller movement here. We're down with the leg, just missing the floor, and not too far back, because if we move any further back, we're tipping the pelvis, okay? Belly button stays lifted. Knee lift, heel press, just miss and reach. Now we go into the next part. We go bigger and further forward. And then as we go into our airplane wing variation, right, we're getting a little more work. This is a lot of work for the legs, guys. So a lot of work for the legs. Your hamstrings are working like the brakes as you tip. And if you hadn't noticed, it's a lot of work for your balance too, right? It's a lot of work for your balance. Right? It's okay, we're all in this together, all right? So it's better, it's helpful to do this, with each other. We have some support along the way. Now let's go on to the next one, right? A little further. All right, we're gonna do our tip. And then as you let that bottom leg bend, remember that you're tracking the knee right over the toes, right? We're gonna just do a couple more like that, taking our Pilates practice up off of the ground if it's comfortable, right? So again, working to mobilize at the hip sockets. I'm all over the place on these ones today. Okay, so you guys will forgive me on that though, right? So we're, again, all working together. And as you come down, remember it's okay to step down at any point that you need. Let's do just one more of those. Tracking the knee right over the toe. Okay, all right guys, so I think we're gonna maybe wrap up our practice for today. It's like a roughly 35-minute practice, okay? So I hope this is helpful, and stay healthy, stay well, and let's move our bodies. Let's keep our energy flowing and going. Okay guys, all right. Mwah.